Today I'm going to be showing you how I like to make pickled eggs. Pretty easy to boil water. They say a washed pot never boils, so I'm going to use a dirty one. Here we go. I'm going to be boiling 36 eggs because 18 and 18 is 36. I've been helping my kids with their math. Like I say, not all the way full because you want to be able to displace the water with the eggs and not have it overflow. I figure it usually takes about 8 to, I don't know, sometimes 8 minutes, so I like to set my timer. So that way if I leave the room, I can hear the timer going off and I know that my water's boiling. Alright, ingredients wise, like I say, we're going to use 18 eggs. Okay. Alright, they're the large, grade A. Got them at Fry's. You have your dill pickle mix. These are going to be dill pickled eggs. They're going to be delicious. And all the different kinds, red onions, the white onions, the yellow onions, and they're so good. But I'm going to try pearl onions in these. I'm going to chop them in half so that way it kind of releases the flavor into the pickling juice. Garlic, I like garlic. Don't need a lot, just chop up a couple of cloves, no big deal. I haven't used these before, but they're yellow onions. I don't know how, or I'm sorry, yellow peppers. I don't know how spicy they are. And this one's more of an orange. These are Anaheim peppers. I know that these, they taste a lot more like a bell pepper. The water is now boiling, and I like to gently set the eggs in. So I use a pair of tongs. One. And I'm not going to count 36 eggs as I put them in. And I hope they all fit in here. The only trick that I've found with peeling eggs is when they're done boiling, and I boil them for 15 minutes, when they're done boiling I take the pot with the water and everything and set it in the sink with cool water, cool to warm water, for about 15 minutes with the water running over it, and then I peel them immediately after that. And like I say, it's not absolutely perfect as far as peeling the eggs, but I've gotten some very pretty eggs from doing that. And that's the idea. Pickled eggs are kind of, you know, they're an acquired taste. They're kind of like a neat snack. You can get burned out on them if you eat too much. My kids like them because they're tasty, like candy, kind of like sour candy. And it's funny. You wouldn't think kids would enjoy these, but boy, they really love them. And I got a couple of neat little tricks to just make them real tasty and stuff. And with the peppers added into it, it makes it a little spicy. You don't want to do it habaneros or like jalapenos or anything. You can if you like them really spicy, but I like for anybody that comes over to the house, I say, hey, do you want to try a pickled egg? And they're already kind of questionable about the idea of having a pickled egg anyway. So, you know, if they're too spicy on top of it, then some people just won't like it. So I like to appeal to everybody's taste, so to speak, because eggs are appealing. Okay. And so we'll go ahead. we'll set these eggs for 15 minutes at a rolling boil. I don't shut the water back or anything for 15 minutes, and then directly over to the water. Here we go. And cut. It's the last onion, or I'm sorry, second to last. Like I say, I didn't chop them or mince them into little tiny pieces, but I just cut them in half. That way it releases the flavor inside while the eggs are sitting in the fridge getting pickled for about 2 weeks. It says on the package that you can actually eat them after 48 hours or something like that, but I like to let them sit and really get the flavor in them. Yummy garlic. Look at that. Don't mind my mess. Chopping garlic. I'm sure there's an easier way to chop garlic, but I've never learned what it is. I was a professional prep cook in New Mexico at the Willard Cantina. I picked all the dirt out of the beans. I cleaned the beans. It's more challenging than you think. It's very tedious. It takes a lot of time. I used to make guacamole. It's very good. Put a little garlic salt, a little lemon, and avocados, of course. That's the primary ingredient of guacamole. Them eggs want to boil over, don't they?
Yeah.
But they're going to be alright. And always remember your posture when you're cooking. That way, when you're done cooking, you don't have a back or a neck ache or anything.
Did you turn it on?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
Alright. Time lapse, it's been about 15 minutes. I'll run the eggs under cool or warmish cool water for 15 minutes. Oh, easy. Let's chop some peppers. Cut my own head off. There we go. Pepper chopping time. I would say I want to get my good side, but I don't really have one. I think this is it. Okay. Oh. When I chop the peppers, I usually don't mince them into little tiny pieces. Ooh, wow. These are pretty strong. It's your choice whether to leave the seeds in. I like to leave the seeds in. It gets that little bit of oleoresin capsaicin in them, and you know, it adds a little spice to the eggs. And these are good too. If you're sitting down making a sandwich or something, you can go, "Hi, I have pickled peppers, Peter Piper." And it makes that jar look so beautiful. Fancy bowls. What I like to do is you just break around the outside edge. One on each end. Roll them a little bit like that, and then just start peeling away. But I've learned to kind of use the edge of my thumb and kind of peel like that. And you can feel there's like a separate little skin underneath the shell. You want to get that off too, because it won't taste very good. But yeah, look at that. Those are peeling all right. Ta-da! You make sure there's no shell left on the pretty little egg. Okay. And what I like to do, hang on, I'll be right back. This is the key. This is the trick to really good pickled eggs. You take your fork and you stick it all the way into the yolk, about where the yolk would be, in the larger part. And you don't go all the way through, and be careful not to slice the egg in half. Just poke it all the way in. You can feel it go into the yolk because it's a little harder than the white part of the egg. And then pull it out. And then that way, when it's in the pickling solution, all that good pickling juice gets all the way in. I don't really care about the way that yolks taste, because they taste kind of chalky or dry. But this, it makes the yolk actually taste really good, and it makes it taste vinegary and pickled and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel 35 more eggs now. So I'll let you know when I'm done. We're gonna give these eggs a good rinse, so that way you get any little tiny fragments of shell off, and just rinse them real gentle under cold water. And we'll start preparing our pickling solution here in a second. Another thing I like to do, instead of just putting a bunch of eggs in and then a bunch of vegetables into the jar, I'll take the vegetables and do a couple of onions, a couple of Anaheim peppers, a couple of these yellow peppers, and then some garlic, like so, and then eggs. Gently drop them in there, because they will break if you're not careful. Or not necessarily break, but they'll rip apart. There. And so just keep staggering them. Onions. Just a little handful. Peppers. it makes it look better, and I think it kind of infuses the eggs with that good pepper and garlic flavor that I like. Do a little bit of salt and pepper. Once you pour the liquid in, it'll all kind of disperse anyway. There we go. More eggs. Vegetables, onions, peppers, and garlic. And that way everything is kind of staggered real nice and just looks real pretty. Like so, and then top it off with a couple of eggs. A little more salt. That salt really helps. I always salt them afterwards. You can use pickled eggs for deviled eggs. They make very good deviled eggs. And then you can also use them in egg salad sandwiches. And it just, it's pretty strong, so you kind of have to have a taste for it. There's a large jar. I'm going to do another little jar. Whenever you make pickled eggs, you got to share them. So this makes it nice. You can just take it to a neighbor's house or give it to a friend at work or relatives. You know. Everybody likes pickled eggs, most everybody. And if you didn't like them before, I'll bet after you try these you really like them. Speaking of pickling solution, this is how we're going to do it. After reading the directions, you can follow it exactly with how you would mix it for pickles and stuff. So what I'm going to do is 2 cups of water to 1 cup of vinegar solution, and then I'm going to use about a half a bag of this, and I don't know how many ounces. So let's say 3 or 4 ounces of your pickling mix. Nice hot water. Each one of these is 2 cups, so I'm going to go ahead and do 4. So that way I have plenty instead of not enough. It's always better to have too much than not enough. It's always really good just to get it perfect, huh? And it was 2 to 1, and I already did 4, so we're going to do 2 cups of vinegar. And this is just regular old distilled store-bought vinegar from Fry's, of course. Alright, here we go. Just pour in about half. And we're going to take it over to the sink after I get it poured. You can smell that pickle. It'll make your house smell like pickles after you be cooking it and stuff. Put our pickling solution on the stove. Once it starts to boil, you're going to bring it to a boil and you keep stirring it and stuff, so that way you get all that dill and all the seasoning and everything all mixed in with the vinegar. Once it starts to boil, then you go ahead and I'll show you how we fill the jars. The solution has just come to a boil. Now, so I think I'll turn that off real quick. Gently, don't breathe it because it's really vinegary. Just start pouring it in over the top of those eggs. I do this in the sink for obvious reasons. There we go, and then the small one. If you make a little mess, don't worry about it. There we go. I like to get a couple of those mustard seeds in there. That's good stuff. As you can tell, it's really getting yellow. After 2 weeks of sitting in this jar, and it's usually good to let them set for about 2 weeks before you eat them. After 2 weeks, the eggs will start to turn a yellowish green. There we go. And there it is. A large one and a small one. Here they are, all finished. They'll be ready in about 2 weeks, and after you get them done and into the jars, it'll still be nice and hot. But go ahead and set them in the fridge and just push them in the back corner of the fridge and forget about them for about 2 weeks. and mark your calendar, and then you'll have some nice pickled eggs. Don't overdo it, just have one every once in a while. Don't let your kids sit there and eat 4 or 5 of them in a row, because it ruins you on them. But just one every once in a while. They're good with a little cheese, and or on the side of your dish. And like I say, very good deviled eggs. You make them the same way as traditional deviled eggs, with a little mayonnaise and mustard inside stir the yolk up, put it back in, a little salt and pepper. Delicious. Thank you for watching. Had a lot of fun. Thank you, Mama, for helping and stuff.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father